Happy full moon. I am your sleep paralysis demon. Kidding. Happy eve of the full moon. But as I'm doing this, eve of. But there's darkness in the sky. I figured I would take the moment for what it is. God, I forget what that fucking sign it was even in. Full moon in Taurus, partial lunar eclipse, also in Taurus. Interestingly enough, though, I was looking at it earlier today, obviously, and I feel like there's often some sort of precursor or preparatory context to what it carries from the previous night and how quickly it jumps or not. And tonight, the moon was in Aries with Chiron and with some nodal adjustments. And I think some attitudes in the air even. And I think that carries into this full moon in Taurus with Uranus and Jupiter. And these are very collective things and big spirals, exponential, I suppose. So for all the hype about new normals and collective shifts and what have you, I do absolutely think that this is some new collective page or new sense of like new chapter within chapter. I think I've also noticed in some immediate contexts a new sense of groundedness or awareness in some people, so hopefully also in you. But I think in between these eclipses very much felt like a portal to new structures of value. And while that is a very earthy concept, value, I do mean that can also be in thought. That can also be the value of the waveform of our thought. But momentum in general. And opposition is quite a few things. The Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Ceres. There's a lot of feminine energy in some prime placements, because there's something else going on with Venus. Venus, Virgo, Juno, Black Moon, Lilith is also very much part of that. But with the oppositions, Mars and Mercury often can feel a little rash at times. A reaction out of frustration is not always the most graceful self. And that's not to say take it. I feel like head in the sand is also not where we're going with that. It's very much in a waking up kind of moment. But maybe not even for you as much as other people, like making other people see, I suppose, what it is that you mean. It's very communicative. It's very much about ideas. It's very much about what we do with those ideas. So again, don't be rash. All of that is in the house of Scorpio, which is our death house, our transformation house. So when we are rash, we can also risk severance and burning bridges. And I don't know, maybe that's an extreme side of the spiraling. But I would hope that there's no burned bridges and what have you. But it'll look different for everybody, and I'm sure that there'll still even just be, you separating yourself from habits, frames of thought, kind of thing. But again, in the house of Scorpio, it may hurt, but it will also be very pleasurable in the end. And this is also what I think of cards like the Tower card or cards like the Death card. It's never as dooming as it seems. Clearing things are also opportunities for more stable structures in ourselves. However, as I say that, that's exactly what genocide is. That's exactly what some moves that are being made, I think, are utilizing that energy to some degree as well. But in opposition, where one illusion breaks, another does not have to be restored. Watch out for that again with this rashness. But the opposition to this is again that feminine energy, that Venus, that Virgo, that Black Moon Lilith, because that is what we have built and what we offer to protect. And it's very much a place of empowerment in the face of oppression, and it's very much taking what you were told you could not have and deep desires forefronted. That can mean, independently, we're feeling a little bit more frisky. We're feeling a little bit more comfortable asking for the things that we want. But yes, that absolutely relates to the bigger picture in some ways that need that need our oppositional energy, essentially, and need our ability to structure outside of that. And that may be hard to imagine, but we were told we could not have peace. We were told we could not have, love. We were told we could not have calm. We were told we could not have this without that in a lot of situations. And this is a point where we can shake that off, or cleanse ourselves of that and start to, again, close the door on one illusion, and open ourselves to a whole new world, in understanding that, what was I saying? An understanding that you can step into that which you were told you could not have. And in small ways, personally, the lives that we think are impossible, the peace and the balance that we think is impossible, very much is when we persevere. You think you're going to be homeless forever. You think you're going to be helpless forever. That is not the case. You surprise yourself sometimes. But fuck, man, that's resonating really weirdly. Let's see, there's a lot going on, so I took some notes. Don't judge me. Saturn and Neptune are uniting in Pisces. Saturn is, oh man, this is exactly that chapter thing too, actually. Because I think these two uniting will bring into harmony many of the lessons that, like the small steps that Saturn puts together to create this Neptune's idea of, or direction of, movement. Very literally, their transits within each other is like chapters within chapters, like, vignettes within a chapter. The year difference is astronomical. I think it's like 30 to 165 around the sun fully, or 2.5, 3 with Saturn returns to like a 14-year cycle independently. What was another feminine energy? Vesta, random, not necessarily, but it's part of the fabric. It's a snag in the fabric, and I do think that with its placement, there is a playfulness to the rigidity of the structures that are falling away, or the structures that are forcing itself to live. that will manipulate the cyclical natures of those movements. Again, you know, cycles within cycles. Like we manipulate the small steps, we create the big steps, the whole mood, the atmosphere, what have you. Well, I do think there's absolutely people that are using this to their advantage. So can we. And again, I suppose playfulness is a hard to imagine word too, but it's one of the ways in which we find possibility in the impossible. And one of the ways, and again, we surprise ourselves with, you know, I never thought I could have this. I never thought I could have this. And here we are. So, you know, the plausibility of the impossible is always surprising. And too often do we find ourselves on the disgusted and shocked side of all, by the things that we can't believe are happening. So spin that, play with that idea, you know, exaggerate how good it could be, and see where that momentum takes you instead. And that's not to say be unrealistic. Play with the earth that you're given. However, sometimes the earth that you're given is within small corners. You can see beyond that. I should pull cards. I feel like they'll have a better time explaining this to you, actually. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard because there's so many different people, and there's so many different ways of explaining something that I wonder how much more accurate it would be independently. Or, you know, who they come for, who those, like, metaphors, I suppose, come for. Yeah. Those are very much about this. Okay, we're gonna go there. That seemed like I had something to say. Much like we are breathing together on this full moon eve on Halloween weekend. And like there are cards in between us, we will take 3 deep breaths together. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. It is all connected. This is interesting because it is all connected. We move toward the Ten of Pentacles. We move toward great things. Oh gosh, that's terrible lighting. we move toward the Ten of Pentacles. There we go. Toward the Ten of Pentacles, toward unity, toward understanding, toward realizing the entanglements, how everything is connected, how everything is an opportunity for a new connection, or an opportunity to sever one, really. And how much space that offers and how much abundance that offers, because you make room for the things that ought to be there. Again, the Tower and death. We clear for new light. We break down so that we can rebuild with strength, with structure, with integrity. And to new heights, because plans change. Change plans? Something like that. And it's, so that's very much of a collective nature. Two of Cups is this initial point. So the ways in which that we maybe focus on ourselves instead of the world. The ways in which we can also see the way that we mirror, or that other things mirror, judgments that we have in ourselves, and also the things that we want. Oftentimes the things that you find yourself sensitive to comes from a place of lack. Again, reaction in a rash nature comes from a survivability quality, operating in lack of resources. Then everybody starts thumping their chest and playing the alpha, because there's not enough food, there's not enough this, there's not enough that. It's a captivity thing, a stress on resources, but that exists in many ways as well, and ways in which that we can even express that to ourselves. The Hierophant in the middle of this is very much like, I feel like, again, this is like a funny step into a new portal, new opportunity, a new doorway. Like if we were on a carousel, like in a carnival, there's a new doorway at every one. Because the Hierophant is very much about structure, but also take no shit, makes its own rules. And I think that structure is a guiding force. I think that structure is a stabilizing force. I think that is a structure that, or there are structures that are years in the making. And again, that's true of war. It doesn't just happen. It's very much something that happens for decades prior. More and more and more, and little by little, it eats away until it tries to swallow something whole. Let us not live in that example. But again, I remind you, all of these powerful warrior energies in the sky are also asking us to imagine an alternative. Imagine an alternative. Imagine something else. Some other, give possibility, breathability to the impossible, to the seemingly impossible. That is the first seed to plant in giving life to a new idea, is, do you even think it can happen? Otherwise, you separate yourself from a reality in which that is possible. Or distance yourself from it. That's a better word for it. And that's very much this Two of Cups inverted. This distance, this lack of receptivity, because it's cups. It's also ruled by water. It has a memory. It has a reflectivity process, property. Electricity properties. And that's the severance of this cord of the Ten of Pentacles. The King of Wands very much, again, is the excitability of all of this energy. And I feel like, reminder again about the rashness. However, the King of Wands doesn't react quickly, but he has established boundaries of his reality and where his respect lies, where this character's respect lies, where your respect lies, or integrity lies, where you've defined your standards of growth, or comfortability, and how that can change, and how you can adapt, and how you can make change for yourself in those circumstances. I hope that makes sense. That was a very intense, clarifying one. All right. All right. All right. We made eye contact. Again, much like we are hanging out together. We'll take 3 deep breaths together and see what I feel, what you feel, what we all feel. I hope you're taking more breaths together with yourself. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Okay, I will say, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but the difference, I guess, that I felt in that is the first time it was such a tender reaching that it felt kind of desperate. And really only in a finger of belief. And I feel like now there's very much some comfort and some receptivity to that. And that is important in 2 ways, because this 2 of Cups isn't inverted because it is unloved. This 2 Cups is inverted because love yourself. And that's the ways in which we're not desperate and reaching for something else's validation or something else's understanding. But also, what was the other one? But also, yourself. It's not just you. It's not all about you. But also the receptivity of being able to imagine something outside of your current wheelhouse of possibility, because this is restructuring that. So again, these things, they'll go both ways. This is, again, why we ought to be very considerate and mindful with our words, especially when wishing or praying or what have you. Okay. I feel like this is very much about giving yourself the power back of choice in circumstance, because Two of Hearts is the bottom of the deck, and it's very much, you know, crossroads, wishes, you know, things that, and you know, we make wishes for things that are that go ungranted. So that can come with a pensive energy. However, we've got Nine of Wands, Seven of Hearts, Nine of Diamonds, and I feel like that 7 is a grounding point, and I feel like those 9s are an extension of yourself through gratitude. Like, rather than reaching, this is how we permeate the world, through loving like ourselves, through loving our vibe, through carrying our own vibe, rather than being, you know, a follower of the vibe. We set the vibe, we don't follow the vibe. Through sound, through song, that's very much a huge part of this. Through vulnerability, I think, to some degree as well, because there is an aspect of reaching out to this. And I think that has its own, I think that puts its own spin on perfection, on what perfection can feel like if what feels perfect to you is raw. And I think this 7 of Hearts is, it's also inverted. Oftentimes this comes up when, especially for me, and I feel like in other times too, when you're not okay, and you're not quite saying that, and perhaps not quite seeing clearly past that. However, 7s are very hopeful, very gracious and hopeful. And I think that the 7 of Hearts is that in learning to admit the cracks in those moments, you do sort of clear the fog of doubt, dread, dismay, you know, rather than it be a shadow lingering, which is funny because that actually can be taken quite literally, quite literally. But that is an entirely different conversation. Not entirely different, but maybe one I won't have here. But okay. Yeah, let's not too long. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. In which case, I hope that all of this is helpful and that it resonates. Take what you want, leave what you don't. Take what's useful, leave what doesn't. Like I said in the beginning, it's funny how like many different metaphors that I'll get in this, even reading independently, I'll get funny metaphors that I don't think I ever would have thought of on my own. And it's just because, you know, we're picking up on the best ways to see through many eyes. See through your eyes, see through my eyes. But yes, I hope that this helps you maybe to see, helps to see through the fog, helps you to see the connection between the micro and the macro in the ways that we navigate. And I hope, again, reminds you, gives you a little something to clear the fog, a smoke detector, if you will. in life and all that jazz. But yes, okay, I'm done. Love ya. And happy Halloween, happy full moon, happy wife, happy life. But legit, love you. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will talk to you and see you soon.